on Tuesday, I guess as part of discovery, a memo, FBI memo, came to light in the classified document case against Trump. The memo it contained a policy statement regarding the use of deadly force in that raid of August 2022 at Mar-a-Lago, which stated, for example, law enforcement officers of the Department of Justice may use deadly force when necessary. Deadly force. We're talking about a raid, unprecedented raid, on the residence, private residence of a former president. And the warrant includes a memo to use, if necessary, deadly force. I mean, this was a war game scenario. They had a medic on standby. Over a document dispute? Now, if you listen to Marjorie Taylor Greene or pay attention to her handle on X, this was an assassination attempt. If you listen to the FBI, oh, that's a boilerplate document. We use that all the time. If you listen to Dan Bongino, former Secret Service, don't listen to the FBI. This is disturbing. All right, let's get our good friend Viva Frei in here, creator of Viva Frei on YouTube and Rumble. And of course, you can watch Viva and Robert Barnes at vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Viva, welcome back. How are you, buddy?
Well, Richard, how you doing?
Good. Not sure where I fall in this. I don't know that this was necessarily, as Marjorie Taylor Greene suggests, an assassination attempt. But hey, after the last 3 or 4 years that we've had, I can't discount anything. Well, what do you think about this use of deadly force on a raid on the private residence of a former president?
So I've listened to both sides, and I've picked the brains of people who I regard as smarter than me. Bongino being one of them, and especially Bongino, Dan Bongino, for those who don't know, used to be Secret Service. I mean, he has the insider knowledge, the insight that 99.9% of us are lacking. The excuse from the FBI side is it's a boilerplate document. It's pre-filled in on all of them. Whenever there's a raid, there's the authorization to use deadly force. That's the problem. I mean, that's not an okay, then it's just par for the course. That is a part of the problem of a militarized FBI with a literal license to kill. That's the starting problem. B, that's how stuff goes sideways. Ruby Ridge, Waco, Craig Robertson, the guy who posted alleged threats to Biden on Facebook, they go do these raids. Things escalate because you are dealing sometimes with people who are unstable to begin with. Things escalate and people get summarily executed. So the fact that it's in the standard boilerplate that a militarized FBI that is basically a secret police at this point in time has the authorization to kill, if they so choose, is the problem and not the explanation as to why it's not a problem. Now,
if it's a boilerplate, and I don't know. Was that in the memo when they raided Joe Biden's garage in Delaware?
That is actually one of the retorts that it was in the memo, that it is by all accounts standard, pre-checked, pre-filled in, as if that's a satisfactory explanation. I mean, it's sort of like saying, like, I know I've got a dangerous dog, and so if I let someone walk him, well, everybody knew the dog was dangerous. Bad analogy, but doesn't matter. You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
The bottom line is they authorized a raid on a former president and leading presidential candidate for a documents dispute. That there's a pre-filled in template that says they can use deadly force. Well, that's just par for the course. Yeah, this isn't par for the course. You're raiding the president who has his own Secret Service,
yes,
which is on competing levels of authority with the FBI. And it's not just that, Richard. I mean, you know this. They were authorized to be plainclothes, carrying firearms, box cutters. I mean, if that doesn't conceivably look like to a Secret Service people up to no good at the former president's Mar-a-Lago residence that might warrant a confrontation, people aren't thinking properly. And so they have the permission to use deadly force. If you wanted to set something up that would lead to a cataclysmic reaction, how else would you do it if you wanted to make it look like an accident, but you wanted to do it on purpose?
That's an excellent point. Yeah, they, as you say, they were in plain clothes.
Plain clothes. Trump's got his Secret Service. You don't just meander up with box cutters to Mar-a-Lago. They knew damn well what they could potentially be doing. And, you know, there's no hiding the fact that they want to take Trump out at all costs. But, you can't poison your political rivals like, Putin did to Navalny. So they've got to come up with creative ways to make it look like an accident, make it look like it was Trump's fault. If Trump didn't get assassinated, but there was a shootout at Mar-a-Lago because Secret Service opened fire on the FBI, how they would have milked that. They would have milked that 10 times more than they've milked January 6th. If God forbid, an FBI agent had been shot dead by a Secret Service, it would be Trump the insurrectionist, Trump the Russian asset, executing FBI agents. If something had happened, it would have been a feature, not a bug. It's over the top outrageous, and people need to be mad as hell. Bongino is right. There's nothing that is acceptable in the standard operating procedure, and anybody repeating that talking point should be viewed with skepticism or discredited on a going forward basis.
Viva Frei, creator of Viva Frei on YouTube and Rumble, Viva Barnes Law at, vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Quick time out, back with more of our conversation in 3 minutes. The Richard Syrett Show right here on Saga 960. Viva Frei. You can watch him on YouTube and Rumble, and of course his co-host Robert Barnes, vivabarneslaw.locals.com. We're talking about the document that came to light on Tuesday that I believe was ordered to be unsealed by the Trump-appointed judge overseeing the classified document case. The document was an order for Justice Department officials to use, if necessary, lethal force, deadly force during their August 2022 raid on Trump's residence in Florida, Mar-a-Lago. So getting back to the tweet by Marjorie Taylor Greene, this was, and there have been other Republicans who have intimated this was an assassination attempt. Let's go back to that. So in light of everything that you've just said, is that out of the question?
I tell you, it's like whether or not the degree to which it increased the likelihood of a misunderstanding or a confrontation, it's tough to measure that, but it was much more than if they did not go with a raid on the president. And it's not a standard operating procedure for raiding a president. This is not the type of situation where you can have an escalation like Waco, where, it's often said they choose to do it in manners that provoke a response, so they can then justify their own escalation of a response to their provocation. So back in the day, they could have arrested David Koresh. It's widely said, at any point in time when he was going into town, but they choose to do it in a manner that provokes a response. Same thing with Craig Robertson, that blind 75-year-old man who's clearly mentally unwell, making threats on Facebook, 6:15 raid, and a paranoid guy, gets out a gun, and then they have their excuse. There was another person that I interviewed, a former police, where they do these pre-dawn raids and they throw concussive grenades in there. And knowing that an individual has firearms in the house, and then call them to the door, they try to do things where they can provoke a response. Whether or not it was an overt attempt, these happy accidents can be part of the plan. Do something that could provoke a response. And even if Trump is not there are people hypothesizing, rightly or wrongly, that Trump was in New York, no risk anyhow. To which I respond, so they're raiding the president when he's not even there to be present, when the FBI, that has a history of falsifying evidence in 2016 before secret FISA courts, they do it when he's not there. And, so they're clean on the assassination attempt, but now they're sort of even caught more red-handed on potentially falsifying evidence, which they did during this raid. So there is no proper good spin to this. If Trump were not there, you still could have had an incident with the Secret Service. If Trump were there, you're certainly increasing the likelihood of it. A direct assassination attempt? No, because you can't get away with that in a Western society. You've got to make it look like he started it and we finish it. And, terrible, terrible. But look what's happened.
In the meantime, Trump is in the Bronx, Manhattan Island, in the heart of New York City for a rally later today. And I mean, who would have thought that at this point, New York, the state of New York, maybe not New York yet, but New Jersey, certainly in play now, another deep blue state. He had a massive rally. We talked about this, I think, a couple of weeks ago. But he's scheduled to speak before maybe 10,000 people in the Bronx today. How does this story play in the Bronx? Does this use of deadly force play in the Bronx? And how does that affect his chances in New York?
I don't know that people say New York and even New Jersey are not in play, but when you have 100,000 people show up at a rally, and when you see people just getting fed up and understanding what's going on, the irony is it's the party that is now saying this is standard operating procedure. The FBI always has the carte blanche to use lethal force. Are the ones who go nuts, and rightly so, with Breonna Taylor, who the woman who gets the no knock warrant and they end up shooting up the apartment. They're the ones who say these types of police conduct is problematic, and now they're just total hypocrites because it's Trump. I think everybody is getting wise to how out of control this is, and it's not working. The problem is the more it doesn't work and the more it actually helps Trump, the more desperate they're getting. Now they're announcing they're going to look into some speech that he gave to oil companies about a $1 billion quid pro quo. You got. Did you see this, Richard? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez?
I was just going to bring that up. Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. She gets out and says, yeah, he's basically got the legal equivalent of an ankle monitor. So he's not campaigning here because he's interested. He's campaigning here because we've locked him down with lawfare. Well, thank you for saying the quiet part out loud. But
yeah, she's admitting it's election interference.
Absolutely. It's like she thought she was being funny when she said it in terms of like, oh, it's a jab at him. He doesn't want to be here, but he's locked down with our lawfare. They know damn well what they're doing, which is why I take it all back. Alex Jones was on my channel. He says it's the surprising thing is they use the same play over and over again. We locked him down with lawfare, and we brag about it, and they knew damn well what they were doing or the risk of what they were doing when they ran that raid with the use of the permission to use lethal force in plain clothes, or what do they call it, polo shirts, armed box cutters. They knew damn well what they could have potentially been setting up, and but for the grace of God, it didn't work. And it's only worked and succeeded in making Trump more popular.
We've got about a minute here. And I don't think we've talked since, to me, the whole prosecution case in New York and the hush money trial has completely fallen apart with, Michael Cohen basically admitting he stole money from Trump, that phone call that he claimed he made telling Trump, yes, I've taken care of Stormy Daniels. I've paid her off. That never took place. There were jurors who were reportedly rolling their eyes. We were talking about, what are the odds that there may be one juror who will basically not be willing to indict, or not indict, but convict. Thank you. Convict Trump, and it would be a hung jury based on Cohen's testimony. What do you think the odds are now that, who knows, 1, 3, 5, 9?
I could pull the old tactic and give a random number, 23%, chance of acquittal. I still predict, and I hope I'm wrong. I'm generally wrong with my predictions, so that's a good sign. I predict he's going to get convicted anyhow, because I don't think they care about the evidence. It's a partisan, politically prejudiced jury pool. The bottom line, though, anybody watching or listening to that trial in real time on tweets, Michael Cohen was the linchpin to say that Trump directed me to conceal the payment. He admitted on the stand to stealing $30,000 or the equivalent of $60,000 from Trump in paper bags. Larceny. He admitted to more crimes on stand than Trump could have ever, been accused of committing in his life. The case is rubbish of the highest order, confirmed as much to anybody who's paying attention. But you get the hacks at MSNBC, and they're saying, well, we didn't need Michael Cohen's testimony anyhow. It's a document. It's all proven on the exhibits that they have, which it isn't. So I think it's more likely than not, but I think it's a foregone conclusion that this politically prejudiced jury pool is going to convict regardless of the evidence.
Will he be remanded into custody before the debate?
I don't think they'll go that far, because apparently it's a first-time offense, and so they'll, he's risking 180 years in jail, but they won't go that far. But who knows? He's still under gag order, so they'll try to find something. Richard, they're out of control, frothing at the mouth maniacs that will stop at nothing, so nothing can be put past them.
Viva Frei. Catch him on Rumble and YouTube and vivabarneslaw.locals.com. All right, my friend, great job. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you very much. You too.